Hey, and welcome to the Go the Distance podcast series. My name is Sadie, and you can find my social media links at milehighradio.com/go-the-distance. Thank you to Lynn Burnett and Mile High Radio for making this possible. Please check out my previous episodes at shows.pippa.io/go-the-distance. And today's episode, I'll be talking about finding your pace in life and figuring out which path to take. So when you're finding your passion, it's a really great place to start when you need to figure out what pace to get through life at. I do have an episode on finding your passion, and you can find it again at shows.pippa.io/go-the-distance/finding-your-passion. When you follow your passion, you'll take life in stride with what naturally happens. And when a person is passionate about what they're doing, it becomes easier to do the work and it feels a lot less like work. So for myself, I feel less tired when I'm doing something that I really want to do or that I feel passionate about. I almost find it re-energizing by engaging in something completely. And usually when I'm really passionate about something, I get right into it and I'm not distracted by other things, and I find myself committed to what I'm doing and able to sort of get past some of those hurdles that sometimes come up when I'm doing things that are less enjoyable or less preferred. If you're not fully interested or invested in what you're doing, it can feel like work. And I find that's when it becomes tiring as time goes on. Usually when you first start something, it's not so bad, but then kind of as time goes on, things will get tiring or boring or stale or however you want to call it. And if you just find something that you really truly love doing and truly want to do, it'll feel so much better and feel so much less like work and so much more like you're actually doing something that you want to do. Sometimes we have to engage in less preferred activities throughout life. It's just part of life. And sometimes we can choose what we want to do. And it's important to do things for yourself when you find time to, and to just really take that time to rejuvenate yourself and to give yourself that time of enjoyment and time of just slowing down and being in the moment. It's important to use your time to refresh yourself and to keep yourself moving forward in life, because life can be tricky and full of struggles and hurdles. And if you take the time to take care of yourself, life just feels better. If you have a couple little hobbies that you do for a couple hours, a couple nights a week, or an hour here and there, it just takes that time to de-stress and to just relax and let go of those worries and those lists of things that you need to get done. And it just brings you into the moment and allows you to actually engage and enjoy what you're doing. It's really great to have caring relationships with friends and family too, because it's easy to forget to take time for yourself. And when you're aware of your loved ones' wants and needs, it's a really great way to help life feel better. And if you notice that somebody that you love is not taking care of themselves or is really busy and stressed out and hasn't found the time to take for themselves, as their friend or as their family member, you can comment and say, hey, I noticed that you're really stressed. Why don't we go do whatever you want to do, or go take, a couple hours off, or offer some sort of helpful suggestions. And it feels really good to care for others, and it feels good to be cared for. So if we all do our part in caring for ourselves, others, and the environment, the world would be a much better place. Life has its ups and downs, and with those ups and downs, we have to navigate our pace and our path accordingly. When life is a struggle, we need to slow down and take small steps to make sure we're taking care of ourselves and others. When life's going smoothly, it's easy to take large steps and in stride with the successes that we're experiencing. But it's also easy to get caught up when your life transitions from something that feels more successful into a time of struggle, or vice versa. You can end up, doing things too quickly, and then you trip over yourself and make mistakes, and then the struggles become bigger and worse. And it's important to be aware of what's happening in your life and what's going on, and just to make sure that you're accounting for all of those things that maybe might get looked over if you're in a rush or if you're not paying close enough attention. Sometimes life has to teach us before we can move on to a new chapter or a season. And if we rush ahead and we forget to be aware of the moments that we're in, we may miss those important lessons that will set us up for success later in life. Sometimes we need to just take the time to be aware of what life is trying to teach us and why we're in the situation we're in and how we got there and what kind of steps we can take to get out of that situation or into a better one, because sometimes we have bigger things coming up later in life that we don't necessarily know about yet. And if you're staying stuck in the struggle, you're not going to be learning the lesson that you might need in order to really truly be successful in that next big thing that you take on, or whatever it might be. Whether life is going smoothly or with struggles, it's important to just keep going and to keep taking those steps, no matter how small or insignificant they seem. It's still a step in the right direction. So I'm just going to take a minute to put a song on here, and this song is called We Keep Going, and it's by Drew Smith and BMB, who I've recently interviewed on some podcasts. BMB, which episode? Let me look. I interviewed Derek on episode 12. And I interviewed Drew on episode 18. So if you're interested in checking those out, feel free. And here's the song. It's called We Keep Going.
Cannot get me up, you cannot break me down. When I'm feeling stuck, yeah, I'm rolling around. Haters gonna hate, twisted upside down. That you wanna flip, see you all around. Been through it all, but still we try to find the love. They say we're going under. There's nothing years of wonder. We're going out to get it in, and we keep going when the rest is hiding up. They say we're going under. Try ripping us asunder. We're going out to get it in. Now I'm back again, they just can't understand how I'm on the grind, make it to the end. Feel my life with love, giving again. Got on top of hate, feeling up the thick. Been through it all, but still we try to find the love. They say we're going under. There's nothing years of blunder. We're going out to get it in, and we keep going when the rest is hiding up. They say we're going under. Try ripping us asunder. We're going out to get it in. Been through it all, but still we try to find the love. They say
So if you'd like to get that song or listen to that song, you can check it out at reverbnation.com. Or you could just go to iamdrewsmith.com, and it's on Reverb Nation. They also have a music video for that song on YouTube, and I will put the link in the episode description. So there's a saying, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And it's really important to keep that in mind, because that's kind of how life goes. You kind of move forward for a while, and then things will happen. You'll feel like you're stuck or you're going backwards, and then suddenly you'll take some more steps forward, and then things will go back and then forward. And that's kind of the roller coaster of life. And sometimes when we take a step back, we're better able to see the whole picture. So it's good to just embrace that moment where you're having struggles, because that just means life's trying to teach you something, and life's got something in store for you. So when you take that step back and look at the whole picture, you can kind of put things into perspective. A really good example of this is if you do art, if you draw or paint, when you're working on a piece, you get so up close to it, and you're just working away when your face is right there next to the canvas, and you kind of have this close-up perspective of the part that you're working on. And I recall being so frustrated with this piece because I was just so focused on this one part of my artwork. And when I took a step back, like probably like 10 steps back from my art, and looked at it from a distance, I was finally able to see, oh, this little part of it is the wrong angle, so that's why it's not connecting properly and it looks awkward. So just taking those steps back and observing and becoming familiar with the whole picture, not just the little tiny piece that we are. Each person is just one tiny piece of this whole earth. There's so many people. And if we just step back and consider that we're not the only ones, we're not the only people that are on this earth, and we're not the only people that are involved in the situations and the experiences that we go through. There's so many more people involved and so many more things involved, and it's so important to be able to see that. When you consider others' perspectives, we become more respectful and considerate, and we can also influence the environment in a positive way. But when we only focus on our own perspective, it's easy to be selfish and forget to have understanding for others. So that's another reason why it's important to step back, because it maintains a level of respect and understanding, and really gives you that perspective you need to see the impact that we're having on each other. When we rush through life, we rush through things and we lose touch with the joy and the pleasure. It's so important to immerse yourself in the moment and enjoy the time you're experiencing presently. There's so much satisfaction to be found in the moment, and when we rush forward in life, we miss out on all those opportunities and these times. And it's kind of like you got to stop and smell the roses, otherwise you don't really appreciate the beauty of the flower. Sometimes life feels rushed, and when we're rushing, that's usually when we need to stop and step back and kind of look around and make sure that we're meeting all of our needs. Humans have 4 basic or primary needs. They include water, food, shelter, and sexual needs. And without these basic needs being met, humans have a difficult time surviving. Beyond that, there's also secondary needs that people tend to notice more when their basic needs are being met. So it's kind of like a pyramid, and you've got your basic needs are the foundation, and once you've sort of completed the foundation, you can kind of go up the pyramid and move on to the other needs. And your secondary needs are less likely to influence your ability to survive. However, they're more related to your ability to be successful in life and to influence how well you survive. So when people have needs such as emotional, social, and physical needs, when those needs are being met, we tend to be happier, healthier, and more productive. So, I mean, if your secondary needs aren't being met, it's not life or death. If you don't have food or water, that's life or death. But when your secondary needs are met, you can kind of climb up to that next level of the pyramid and get to a new kind of emotional state and a new state within yourself where you have so many of your needs being met that you're able to have a new perspective on life. And excuse me. Each person needs to be aware of their needs and also has a right to advocate for themselves. Being aware of your needs provides an opportunity to express yourself to others about meeting your needs. It's not always possible to meet our own needs all the time, and that's why community is so important. But when you're speaking out to friends and family and loved ones, trusted people, it's a great way to let people know what you need, and it's a great way for us to have an opportunity to show how much we care about each other. If you express a need and someone helps you to meet that need, that shows that they care about you and that they want to help you to feel successful and to meet your needs. But if you're not able to understand your own needs within yourself, you're leaving it up to your loved ones to try to figure it out. And most people are able to interpret your needs based on your behavior, but some behaviors are designed to hide our true needs because we feel ashamed or embarrassed about them. And so that's when it becomes tricky for other people to try to help, because some behaviors cause us to hide ourselves and to be somebody a little bit different than who we really are, so that we don't get judged or we don't feel ashamed or embarrassed, or so we don't let other people down. But the important part is that we all have needs, and we all need to have our needs met in a variety of different ways. And when we work together, it's a lot easier to meet each other's needs and our own needs, because while there's no I in team, it takes a community to raise a child, and each person is an individual, and each person has different levels of different needs, and it's really hard for someone else to speak for another person because they're not inside of you, and they're not in your head and in your body and in your soul, and they don't know exactly what it is that drives you or what it is that you need or desire. And part of understanding your own behavior is understanding your needs. when you're aware of your needs, when you know you need to meet your social, emotional, physical health, you're able to accommodate and plan to accommodate all your needs. When you try your best to meet your needs, others will see that and they'll be able to contribute to that, as opposed to trying to plan for you and trying to plan around the behaviors that they're observing. But if you just communicate, it allows that person not to have to interpret what you're saying or what you're doing, and it just makes it easier for everyone, because that if each individual communicates their wants and their needs, then we all have an understanding of each other. And when we have an understanding of each other, we can all work together and we can all be a team and try our best to be successful for everyone involved. When you're aware of your own needs, and when you're able to plan and accommodate for yourself for most of your wants and needs, then you're able to kind of walk through life with your shoulders back, with your head held high, at a nice confident pace where you're not tripping over yourself or doing things and getting in your own way. I know that when I studied a little bit about psychology, there's stress is actually, it can become addictive because there's a chemical release when you're in a stressful situation in your brain. And if your body doesn't know another way to get the chemical release to happen, it will use stressful situations to give yourself that rush. And sometimes when that happens in a person, they subconsciously set themselves up for failure and frustration. But when you're aware of your needs and you know what you need, then you're able to stop yourself and say, no, I'm not going to sit here and watch 5 hours of TV tonight. I know I need to get this, and this done. So today I'll tackle the first two, and tomorrow I'll tackle the second two, and then I'll reward myself with a movie or whatever it might be. Everybody's different. You can kind of make your own plan for what you enjoy. For me, I enjoy doing art. So when I get or playing music or singing, so when I get my stuff done, I let myself have time for those activities. And it helps me feel a lot better because it's something I enjoy and it's not something I have to worry about or feel rushed or upset or anything like that. I'm just able to just be in the moment and to enjoy myself. And it also gives me something to kind of talk to other people about. I can say, oh yeah, last night when I was working on my art project or whatever it might be, then I find when all I do is work, nobody wants to hear about work, so it doesn't really leave much to talk about or to contribute to the conversations that you may have when you're out and about or at work or with family or friends. So by being aware of what you need, you can kind of set your pace ahead of time, and you can choose to take things as they come and just give yourself time because you know that that need needs to be met at a certain point or in a certain way, and you can just allow yourself the space and the timing to do that when you're aware. But if you're just kind of like going through life blind and unaware of kind of why you're doing what you're doing or how you're doing what you're doing, then it's easy to just keep going in that, and it's a bit of a negative cycle that can continue if you don't consciously make an effort to stop it and to set yourself on the right path. So by setting yourself on the right path and in the right pace, you're setting yourself up for success. When you set yourself up for success, you're more likely to be successful because your thoughts are towards being successful, and your thoughts are towards being positive and meeting those goals and celebrating those accomplishments, as opposed to just going through life tripping and stumbling and feeling a sense of relief when you finally have a minute to take a break or have a moment to yourself. So I encourage you to just find your passion and have a plan for yourself. Use your passion to help meet your needs. Use your hobbies and your interests to keep yourself feeling full and feeling energized, and just really take a step back and look at everything from a different perspective. Try to take on someone else's perspective every once in a while. Try to look at life through a different lens. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week. Remember, go the distance because life doesn't stand still.